Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the Radical Centrist. I am your host, Gail Chulo, reporting live from Florida, New York. Hope you guys are having a good day, but it's probably about to get a lot worse. I have some really kind of scary news that we have to go over. This is actually going to be a terrifying episode. I wish I could open up on a more fun episode, but we have a lot of issues that we have to work through and a lot of stuff that, quite frankly, I just wasn't aware of. I wasn't aware of how fucked we really are. But we have some serious stuff that we have to go over, and a lot of it is sort of intertwined with Antarctica and climate change and coronavirus and the global supply of ice as well. So it's not good, but we have to get into it and we have to fix this. And, you know, as always, I'm a centrist, so everything that I say could be completely wrong. I'm not even sure if I believe it myself, but I'm going to give you guys the information and see what you think of it and make up your mind for yourself. But I recommend everybody try to, stay centered on all of these positions. Try not to commit so much to one position one way or the other, because I think it just fuels the divide in the country. So I think if, by the end of this, if you're more confused than anything else, I think that's probably the goal. And I think that would probably be the best for you moving forward. But for today's policy prattle, we have to talk about putting trade sanctions on Antarctica. So you're probably asking yourself, what is Antarctica? I'm sure a lot of you have never even heard of it. It's not typically a spot that people go to on vacations or spring breaks and stuff like that. But basically, Antarctica is a southern state. I guess technically it's actually a continent if you want to get technical. But it's a southern continent, has a very low population because it's very cold. And let's get a picture. Can we get a picture up on the screen? Yeah, so that's what it looks like. It's got a lot of ice, very icy. And basically what's going to be happening in the near future is climate change, which may or may not be real, is going to eventually get to the point where we are unable to inhabit any of the continents that we're currently on. And what is going to happen is we're all going to have to migrate down south to Antarctica, because that's going to be sort of the last place on Earth that's going to be able to keep up with the global ice supply and the demands for ice. A lot of people like ice in their drinks. I mean, you could use ice for all different kinds of things. If you're familiar with Wim Hof, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But little sidetrack. But anyway, I have a couple of links that I want to share, because what I'm saying is not just, some bullshit conspiracy theory. I mean, this is backed up by, sources from the right, from the left. I've got it all, okay? So let's take a look over here. This was a really cool website that I found. I've actually never heard of this before, but really fascinating website. It's actually got a ton of information that I've actually never even heard of. So if we look down here, this goes over a timeline of the history of Antarctica. And as you can see, in 1820, the discovery of Antarctica sends the world's ice prices plummeting. So this is something that's kind of been creeping up on us ever since 1820. And within the next couple of decades, it's really going to come full force and really kind of just throw everything off. I mean, if you think this coronavirus thing threw things off, you have no idea what it's going to be like when when we have an ice shortage, and then the ice prices are going to start skyrocketing. I mean, now you can go down to a gas station and get a bag of ice for maybe $1, a couple dollars if you're lucky. I'm not sure. I don't buy ice very often. But, what's it going to be like when you're going to a college party and you want to pick up a bag of ice, to cool your beers and stuff like that, and then a bag of ice is $20, $30. I mean, it's not going to be sustainable. So you're probably asking yourself, what does this have to do with trade sanctions? And quite frankly, I'm not even sure if I know myself what it has to do with, but let's go over our definitions, because, you know the famous quote. I'm going to say this a lot during the show. What's the quote? An uneducated population is not very smart. Okay, so we need to be educated. We need to know these definitions. So let's go over what a trade sanction actually is. So trade sanctions defined. A trade sanction is a law passed to restrict or abolish trade with certain countries. We don't need to worry about the other half. That's probably irrelevant. So what do I mean by that? How do we put a trade sanction on Antarctica? Well, basically what we have to do is we have to limit other countries' ability to trade stuff into Antarctica, because what are these other countries doing? They're stocking up. They know that this is happening. I'm one of the few people that actually figured this out. So this is, not the most mainstream stuff yet, but hopefully we can get it out there and spread the knowledge. So we have to prevent these other countries like India and Australia and Moscow and North Korea, South Korea, Eastern Korea. We have to stop these countries from, trading their products over to Antarctica, because what they're doing now is they're taking all of these different resources and they're just leaving them in Antarctica until this, eventual collapse happens. So that way, when all this stuff happens, they just go down there. It's just sitting there waiting for them. And then all of a sudden they can inhabit the continent. And we're left here just sitting here like, all right, what happened? What about us? And I refuse to let that happen. I'm a huge fan of our country. I love the United States, as you can see. So what I'm saying is the trade sanctions have to be placed on these countries so that they are unable to send this stuff down to Antarctica. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do it. We can set up a blockade surrounding the Antarctican continent. We can do trade sanctions on the individual countries, saying, hey, if you ship stuff down to Antarctica, there's going to be an economic price, whether it be we resort back to more protectionist policies, but, wide variety of different consequences that we can do to these countries. So I have a couple other articles I want to share, especially for you people on the right, because I know you're probably, thinking about this, climate change. Come on. I mean, who believes in that garbage? But look at this. Fox News. There you go. I know you guys love Tucker Carlson. Antarctica just saw its all-time hottest day ever, February 18th. So, and February is not typically a hot month, by the way. So, this is not good. So we have to get on this as soon as possible. Like I said, this could all be fake. I'm not sure if this is even real because I'm a centrist. But regardless, it's good to be prepared, right? Nothing, there's no harm in, getting ready. And then one other article, this is where it ties into coronavirus. I was saying it's kind of a multifaceted, layered thing where we have climate change, then we have the trade sanctions, and then we have coronavirus. So if you see right here, this was another article that I found. Dry ice shortage could slow down COVID vaccine distribution. So we're already experiencing an ice shortage, as is seen in this article, and this is slowing down the progression of the coronavirus vaccine. So God forbid we get another pandemic within the next couple decades. There's even less ice. The vaccine can't happen. And we're all just running around trying to figure out what to do, going to school on Zoom, doing everything virtually. Everybody's got, some sort of hard drive or some sort of computer implanted into their head by that time. So very dystopian, very Orwellian, for lack of a better term. And I want to fix it. So I'm spreading the word on this, and I recommend you guys do too. Make sure when you tell people about this, though, always include the caveat that this might not be true, because that's, as a centrist, that's our responsibility, is to not commit to any specific policy and to really just kind of be on the fence about everything. And that's what I am preaching to you guys, and that's what I recommend you preach to everyone else in your life. So that is our episode for this week. Thank you for watching, and I hope you are a little bit more informed now than you were beforehand. And this is Gail Chulo reminding you to stay grounded and, most importantly, stay centered. This is the Radical Centrist.